What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. It is the 11th day of November. Happy Veterans Day, everybody. The 11th day of the 11th month. Here we are, 9 hours, 40 minutes left in this day. 104.5K is the price. We've seen a low price today of 104,000 and a high price of 107.5K. So quite the range today. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame and then we'll zoom out from there. All right. We were expecting yesterday in this range, we were expecting some kind of a pullback, right? Because lately Bitcoin's been doing this thing for whatever reason. Typically when you move up, you move sideways, you expect to move up again. You stair step, that's what it's called. But lately we've been moving down, sideways, and then up, or up, sideways, and then down, right? That's just how it's been. So we were kind of forecasting that the price might come back. I think as low as 103.4K, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just see. What were we looking at yesterday? I think we were looking at the fibs. From a low to a high, we would have said 103.7K or thereabouts. So maybe even as low as like 103.2K or something like that around this prior high, right? Now that we have this high, that's a fake out high. I wonder, should we take this high? If we take this high, we're right at the 382, right at prior resistance points. It makes a lot of sense. It is a bit of a fake out high, but it's close as close enough. I don't know. And it looks perfect. This would call for this to be the low perfectly, and I have no problem with this. Finding support right at the 382 and prior resistance, that looks perfect, but do just keep in mind that depending on how this is being interpreted, right, it could be this 382 that's being focused on, in which case we still have to drop down. Don't have to, but likely do drop down to 103.7K. I'm not calling for 103.7K here. I'm more just saying if we were to go that low, somewhere around there, and even if we go below there, that's fine. We could go to like 103.4K, 103.2K. It's not a big deal if we are to go lower. But I do expect we will find support either today. We'll probably find support today, and then tomorrow, starting tomorrow, Wednesday, we should be seeing some recovery. If not even by the end of today, Tuesday. Overall, things look good. Let's look at the 1 hour indicators here. You are picking up a little bit of volume. What I like about this is it's like you're breaking out, right? You're breaking out of this zone. You have a lot of volume, but you didn't go anywhere. You didn't go anywhere, right? It's like here, you're breaking out. You had a lot of volume up here, but you didn't go anywhere. So what you do? You went the opposite direction. Typically, that means you're going to go the opposite direction. Volume, when you break out, should promote some follow through, right? Otherwise you're going to reverse. Not always, but typically, right? Don't take that to the bank, but most of the time that's how it happens. 1 hour RSI here, you're at an area to find support. Do you find support is the question, right? Because you've got this uptrend here from these lows. You've clearly broken out of it, even back tested for resistance here. You might go lower. The RSI makes me think that we want to go lower, okay? Which again, 103.4, 103.7, somewhere in there. Stochastics are bearish, makes you think you want to go lower. And the MACD, I mean, you're right at a place to bounce, let's be fair. You're right at a place to bounce. And you do have bullish divergence. The MACD would suggest that we're going to bounce here. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we don't go lower. Maybe we do bounce right here. And we can. There's nothing wrong with not getting oversold. It's just in this kind of situation, I typically would expect that we get oversold. Typically here you do go to the oversold zone. You don't really bounce from this area specifically too much, but sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. Sometimes it's enough. That MACD is showing bullish divergence here, like double bullish divergence, and you're right at the zero. You typically like to bounce here, right? Look at the 1 hour indicators, the oscillators here. They bounce from literally this exact same area. I don't know, just a thought. Just a thought. If we don't bounce from here, we're going to go down to 103.7, 103.4K, and then we'll bounce. Or we'll just bounce from here. 4 hour time frame looking at this. Again, I have no problems calling for a bounce here because from a resistance point, I mean, from a support standpoint, you are finding support at prior resistance. It's perfect. It literally looks perfect. You've got 1 hour, 36 minutes left in this 4 hour candle. Let's see how it closes. And then, of course, from a low to a high, you are bouncing right off that 382. So that's perfect as well. Fibonacci, or sorry, the RSI, looking at these higher lows, I mean, you're right where you would expect to bounce. It's perfect. It's literally perfect, yeah. The more that I'm looking at this, the 1 hour RSI might have suggested that we go lower, but the 4 hours suggesting that we bounce right here. Now, with that being said, 1 hour, 36 minutes left. If the next 4 hour candle closes green, we will get a bounce right here. But, and if we close right here, we'll get a bounce right here. But we could, within that next 4 hour candle, there's 4 hours in there, so we could move down for the first 2 hours and then move up for the next 2 hours. You know what I mean? We could still bounce right here on the RSI, have this nice maintained higher low kind of trend, and still see lower prices. Okay, so just to keep that in mind. Same thing with the stochastics. Beautiful area to bounce right off the 50. We've seen that happen plenty of times. And the MACD has gotten above the zero line, right? We've theorized that whenever the MACD crosses the zero, that we consolidate for about a day and a half or more, right? Here we are consolidating now for what has been about a day and a half. So we're in that realm, typically a day and a half to 3 days. Sometimes it's more. Sometimes you don't consolidate at all, but typically you do consolidate. So that's going exactly as forecasted. I would assume, you know, we've talked about this at length here and there for the past few days. Daily time frame. All this is telling me is that, first off, we have higher to go. Second off, this move here that brought us up here is going to be smaller than the move that takes us away from here. So the next move up should be, here we saw a move from 101.5 to 107.5. Okay, we saw a $6,000 move in the course of basically 1 day, one and a half days. Over the next 1.5 days, or whenever we move, that next move should be bigger than a $7,000 move, right? Because that's 101, or is this, sorry, $6,000 move. It should be bigger than a $6,000 move. So with that in mind, from here, let's just imagine we started from here. That should take us above 110K, which makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. That's another area of resistance right here. We might even go above that. It's very possible, but looks pretty good here. I feel like there was something else I was going to say, and I can't remember what it was. But overall, it looks bullish. This typically implies that we have more growth, and what we're going to see is more growth from here, but faster growth than what we saw here, like a larger amount of growth. Daily time frame, bouncing off the oversold area, lower lows, lower highs, that whole shebang. It looks kind of bearish on the daily RSI, if I'm being honest, but all it takes is a couple green days to reverse that. So let's just see. 9 hours, 33 minutes left in the day. I have a feeling we'll come back up and close today green. I really wouldn't be surprised. If not, certainly more neutral. What we're looking for is some readings that are back above the 50. That's what we want to see. Okay. The MACD does have bullish divergence, which we've already kind of seen that move play out right here. Stochastics would suggest that we grow higher, that we keep going, and we probably will over the coming days. I mean, you look at the stochastics, look at how it likes to move up from low to high to the overbought zone, from low to high to the overbought zone here. This is the kind of given trajectory that we've seen, low to high. I'm not drawing like the most fitted line to the stochastics, just more or less the low to the high from a time perspective. You know, if we take that into consideration, yeah, somewhere around here, maybe that'll be Wednesday the 19th that we start getting in the overbought zone, something like that. It could be Monday the 17th, sometime next week, perhaps, right? Lining all these up, that we would probably get into the overbought zone, maybe this weekend, Sunday to Wednesday next week. That might be when we're in our kind of peak strength of this move. Typically, whenever you get overbought, right? Like here, you got overbought. Were you moving up before then? Yes. But once you got overbought, that's where the peak strength of this little move came in. You're moving up, or you found your low here. You're moving up, and then once you got into the overbought zone that was here, you saw peak strength of this move once you were in the overbought zone. We're moving up now, but we're going to get our peak strength. And by the way, this move, it looks so small here, but that was the move from 110 to 126K. That's our all-time high move right there. So this move right now, right, we're moving up, but peak strength is going to come in next week, I think, to really send us higher and potentially to new all-time. You guys, we could be at new all-time highs for Bitcoin as early as next week. I wonder how many people are calling for that. Let me tell you right now. So when I say by as early as next week, it's Tuesday now. I think that, yeah, either within the next 7 days or 10 days, maybe let's see, Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 to 10 days, we could be at new all-time highs. That doesn't mean that we will be. If we're not at new all-time highs, we're certainly going to be, that's certainly going to be a topic of discussion. I would very much believe that in the next week or so we're above 116.4K. But again, that's a very important thing itself. I don't care if it's 10 days from now and we're only at 118K. That's perfect. That's just as good. Because we're in this overall megaphone pattern, right? It's a perfect megaphone. It really is. It's behaving exactly as a megaphone should. We have these partial decline moments where you're reaching for the bottom trend line, and that typically means that you will reverse and you will break out to the upside. What we're looking for right now to confirm that we are going to break out to the upside, beyond just breaking the line, is getting above this point here. When we get above 116.4K, in my opinion, the statistical probability that we break out above this here, it's greater than 80%. That we break out and see new all-time highs, it's greater than 80%. It's a very, very probable outcome. once we get above 116.4K. Anybody who's bearish up here, you're just coping. You're delusional. You're stuck in la la land from back here, from these crazy times to the downside here. But I do believe that we're going to move up higher, and 116.4K is something to watch. We will be above this level as early as this time next week. I don't really have anything else that I want to say other than a break of this pattern overall would lead us to prices that are around 165K. Okay, the breakout. Typically, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but typically the length of the pattern marks, like, what do they say? I think they say you cut it in half. You cut it in half or maybe a third, and that's how long the move should take, right? So if the length of the pattern, well, really would be to here, would be about 113 days. Half of that would be 55 days, 56 days, something like that. So 56 days from now, the thought then would be that within the next 56 days, before January 6th, we are at 165K. Okay? And just because that's the, and this is a, I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about, but this is just kind of a rule of thumb that I've heard. However long you consolidate, the move typically takes half the time or less. That's what, like, the rule of thumb is. Sometimes it takes a quarter of the time. Sometimes it takes a third of the time. But half the time or less is what we'd be looking for. So by January 6th, we should be at 160, 165K or higher, right? And I do think personally that we'll be here by the end of the year, not by January, but anything can happen. And I certainly do expect that this move pushes on to 170 to 180K. If not by the end of the year, then by the end of January. We could be higher than this as well, but let's just stay focused for now. Let's stay conservative minded, and then be pleasantly surprised if we are at higher levels, right? I love it whenever I'm like, I'm calling for the price to go here, and then instead we go here, and then people are like, oh, you're wrong. I'm like, oh, I was wrong. Oh no, we're making more money. Oh, that's so terrible. It's a lot better than calling for the price to go here and then we stop here. You know what I mean? And then you're waiting. Anyways, I don't have anything else for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe, take care of yourselves, all right? I'll see you on the next one. Happy Veterans Day to all the vets out there. Bye-bye.